Welcome back, dear viewers, and you are still watching the breakfast show. And today we are joined by Dr. Hisham Menyawi, economic expert. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
So before starting our discussion with Dr. Hisham, we are going to watch this report on the global economy as it breathes a sigh of relief after the ceasefire announcement, and also Egypt plays a pivotal role in achieving regional stability and stabilizing markets, and we will have more in the coming report. Our report. Let's focus first on the impact of the war on Egypt's economy and the possible solutions to the crisis.
Okay, Egypt is a major part in this region, and definitely it's one of the countries has been strongly affected even before the start of the war. Since the conflict started between the United States and Iran, it reflected its impact on the economic situation in Egypt, because Egypt has certain sources of income like the Suez Canal, which is related to the global trade, and also tourism. Tourism is also one of the main sources of income, which is very fragile and also affected by the conflict between the two countries. So Egypt now is focusing, and has been focusing for quite some time, on how to avoid the impact.
Yes, since the start of the war, Egypt started to take steps.
Of course, diplomatically
And also on the economic level.
Yes. The benefit of this diplomatic negotiation, that Egypt is playing a magnificent role in it, will be definitely positively reflected on the Egyptian economy.
So also, in your opinion, how can we evade the impact of this war on the Suez Canal revenues?
Okay. As we know that the trade has been badly affected when Iran decided to stop all the supply chain of oil from the area of the Gulf, including the Iranian oil, to the rest of the world. So it was actually the direct reason for the increase of the price of oil dramatically. And automatically that will be also increasing the prices of the other items. But Egypt is located in a very strategic area, because Egypt is looking over the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, also controlling the Suez Canal, and to the east of Egypt is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is classified to be one of the largest oil countries in the world, and it could easily increase the production of oil during this time of conflict, and instead of exporting the Saudi oil through the Gulf area, it could actually transfer the transportation of oil to the west coast of Saudi Arabia, to the Red Sea, and from the Red Sea through the Suez Canal to the Mediterranean and to the rest of the world. It will be definitely difficult that Saudi Arabia would replace the shortage of the supply of oil from the other Gulf countries, but it will be a very short-term solution to hold the increase of the price of oil. Egypt will gain twice from increasing the revenue of the Suez Canal. Number two is also reducing the price of oil, which is affecting dramatically the Egyptian economy by increasing the price of oil over the last couple of weeks.
Sir, also we have the U.S. military saying that it will begin a blockade on all maritime traffic entering and exiting Iranian ports and coastal areas on Monday, and this is a new escalation to the conflict. And the U.S. Central Command said the U.S. blockade will start at 1400 GMT and would be enforced impartially against vessels of all nations entering or departing Iranian ports and coastal areas. To what extent also this move will affect the global economy?
First of all, we don't really know if this movement will take place or not, because there is a huge refusal within the United States itself, the political parties in the United States, and the opinions of the politicians in the United States and the members of the Congress. Actually, many of them, they do not agree with this decision, and there is still a debate running, either the United States should do this or not. But in case if they will do it, in my opinion, it would be reflecting that the United States would like to take a share in the revenue from crossing in this area. They would like to share Iran, because Iran announced that they are going to charge fees for all the tankers going through Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, since the time of the war started. So the United States also would like to get somehow benefits out of it. So if they also stop the navigation in this area, so they would like to say that not only Iran has the power to close or to open the Strait of Hormuz, but also we are sharing in this decision making. So it might lead to kind of an agreement, economic agreement between Iran and the United States, and ending by sharing the benefits of crossing the Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz.
So now also Mr. Hisham will have this look on a report on the 2026 spring meetings of the International Monetary Fund, as world leaders and financial decision makers are gathering in Washington, D.C. for the meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group, as a global economic uncertainty continues to dominate the agenda. Details in the coming report.
At a time of mounting global challenges, the world's top economic policymakers are coming together for one of the most significant financial gatherings of the year. The spring meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group are set to take place from April 13th to the 18th in Washington, D.C., bringing together central bankers, finance ministers, development experts, and private sector leaders from around the world. The meetings are considered a unique global platform, the only gathering of its kind, where key players discuss the state of the global economy and coordinate responses to pressing international challenges. Top of the agenda this year are concerns over economic growth, financial stability, and rising poverty levels, particularly in developing countries still grappling with the impact of global crisis. Participants will also focus on policy solutions aiming to strengthen international cooperation and address economic risks that continue to threaten recovery. Beyond formal sessions, the meetings provide a rare opportunity for direct dialogue between governments, financial institutions, and civil society, shaping the direction of global economic policy making. As uncertainty continues to cloud the global outlook, the discussions in Washington are expected to play a crucial role in defining the next steps for the world economy.
And back to you, Dr. Hisham, as we heard in our report that the world leaders and financial decision makers are gathering in Washington for 2026 spring meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group. What are your expectations for these meetings?
Okay, first of all, we have to understand what do the World Bank and the IMF do for the world in general.
Yes.
This organization has been established after World War II, and the main aim was because the whole world was going into a new phase, which is the Cold War. So these two organizations were mainly established to implement the American policy of supporting the countries that they suffered a lot from the impact of World War II, especially in Europe, and to prevent them from joining the Eastern ally with the Soviet Union and becoming a Soviet sphere countries. And it was developed later on to help in developing the economy of the developing nations, like in Africa and in Asia and in Latin America. Egypt has a long history with the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, but we also have to understand that when these organizations are providing any economic help, they put a plan and restrictions on the governments. So, like for example, if they are going to give a loan to a country, they have to put their own impact on the policy of this country. Like for example,
economic policies.
Yes. Like for example, that you have to reduce the government
interest
support.
rates and
Yes, all the subsidized items like electricity, like fuel and so on, which will put impact on the people in these countries. And we have already experienced this in Egypt, especially over the last maybe 2 or 3 decades since we started heavily to deal with the World Bank and the IMF. The focus now is of the World Bank and the IMF is to save the world economy, because if the war is not going to stop soon and it will extend later on, it will definitely lead to a Great Depression. And the United States has an experience with the Great Depression, which started in 1929 and got out of the Great Depression in 1939 after 10 years, and the only exit for the United States was entering World War II. So it was just a solution for the United States to save its economy, because the United States is working as a merchant and selling their weapons to Europe and so on, even before joining the World War itself. So the fear now is that the whole world is going into a huge recession and Great Depression because of the chain supply or supply chain will be affected by the close of Strait of Hormuz and the price of oil and all this. So the World Bank and the IMF will be focusing a lot during the coming meetings on how to avoid the negative impacts of the war.
So, sir, to what extent will the planned discussions at the World Bank and IMF meetings influence development financing strategies in developing countries?
Okay, it has to go back to each government and how much they are going to follow the World Bank and the IMF instructions.
Yes.
Because this is the main focus of how to solve the problem.
Yes. So, sir, can the decisions expected from these meetings contribute to reduce global economic disparities in a context characterized by geopolitical instabilities and successive crises? Can they offer real solutions to what is going on now in the world?
Yes, definitely. They can offer solutions, but as I said before, the solutions will be very difficult to implement because it will be reflected directly on the people of each country. So how much people can take the pressure? It varies from a country to another.
Yes. So, sir, going back to the war and the announcement of the truce, to what extent the announcement of the truce or the agreement affect global economic indicators, particularly energy prices and trade activities, and to what extent also they are affected after the failure of the talks?
I don't get your question.
So there was a truce agreement to stop for 2 weeks to stop the violence or the attacks. To what extent this affect the global prices? And now also we see that there was a failure in the talks. So how do you see the situation?
I think that when they started announcing the ceasefire,
Yes.
most people actually, especially the politicians, they did not have a very strong belief that this ceasefire will last for a long time. Maybe the normal people, the commoners, they hope that this ceasefire will last, especially in the Middle East. But the politicians, they knew from day one that is not going to last for a long time. And for example, the Iranians, they knew very well that this ceasefire is only for the Americans to take their breath and to refuel their military ability once again and start the war over again. Because actually the United States did not achieve a great success in the war. All what they put as a plan, what they want to do, like changing the Iranian regime, like forcing Iran to stop the nuclear development of weapons and so on, nothing happened. So actually they did not achieve anything. So the war is not going to end unless they reach these targets. So politicians, they knew from day one that is not going to last. I think that the whole world, especially in our region, the Middle East, should be very ready that this war will continue for quite some time. And then we have to deal with the situation. For example, in Egypt, we have to deal with the situation. We have shortage of oil supply, for example, or natural gas and so on. So what are the solutions each country, each government would provide their own people with? Are we ready to replace this oil by another renewable energy, for example, solar power or waterfalls, wind energy, whatever. I mean, and it's very limited, but we can actually increase it as much as we could. Also, changing the sources of how we get our, for example, Egypt signed an agreement with Libya to import oil from Libya, which is far from the conflict area, and it's a neighboring country. And the Libyan leaders actually, they are very willing to support Egypt in this critical situation.
So sir, how do you assess Egypt's role in the success of de-escalation efforts between the various parties?
Okay, Egypt played a magnificent role in the diplomatic efforts recently with Pakistan and Turkey, and it was one of the leading countries that actually took the initiations through our Minister of Foreign Affairs, and all the diplomatic efforts actually led to holding these negotiations at the beginning.
So, sir, also, if we talk about the expected threat today by the United States to block the U.S. blockade on the ports in Iran, how do you see the international reaction to these escalations?
This is a very good question, because I think that now we need to reevaluate many political terms, like, for example, international relations, international organizations, international laws. Do they really exist? Yeah. When Israel attacked Iran, the 12 days war, previous one, when they started attacking Iran this time, and the United States supported them, did actually the United Nations condemn this action? Did they accuse the United States and Israel for violating peace? And I don't really understand why the war started at the first place, because we have already a number of countries, they already have nuclear weapons.
Yes.
So what does prevent another country to have nuclear weapons? Especially that the only example that we have for a country used nuclear or atomic weapon was the United States. So it should be number one in the list, not to have these weapons, for example.
Yes.
But I mean, it is very, very important now to understand the meaning of these terms, international laws. International laws, is it applied for all countries? Do all countries follow these international laws? What happens if international law is not followed by another country? Let's say Israel, for example. What do the international community do? What are the punishments or the sanctions that the United Nations will put on a country like Israel, for example? You know what I mean? So
yes.
it is very complicated at the moment. And I think that the whole world is about to get into a new phase, and maybe many facts will be revealed soon by this conflict. It has a high price to pay, but also it will change the face of the world in the coming few...
But we can see that many European countries like Spain, Italy are against what's going on in the region.
Okay, but you can see now the United States, how they are reacting to these countries. They are, for example, saying that economic sanctions also on the European countries. For example, they put like 50% tax on any of these items going to the United States. This is European kind of, economic punishment for these countries. So it is a game. Who's going to win in this game? I believe that the international community will win at the end.
So, sir, also, if we talk about the talks, to what extent there is a power game, as you said, and we have reshaping for the world powers now in the region, and maybe in the world. So how do you see this?
Definitely the Middle East is one of the very important regions because of many reasons. Number one, it is central to the whole world. It is not far from Europe, not far from Japan and the Far East, and also not far from the United States. So it's kind of central location, and anything happens, positive or negative, will affect the whole world.
Yes.
Especially that the Middle East also is one of the main supplier, if we talk about the Middle East, not just one country, as one of the main, if maybe the highest supplier of oil to the rest of the world. If we are counting Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Emirates, Saudi Arabia, of course, all together. So how much oil these countries are exporting to the rest of the world, it would be definitely the highest portion of oil. So it could easily affect the economic globally. This is one thing. The other thing is we have, for example, Israel has its own dreams to extend its borders by including parts like
from Syria, from Lebanon,
Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and even north of Saudi Arabia and part of Egypt, according to Greater Israel. The map they are
hopefully this will not happen.
Hopefully, yes, but we have to understand that this is what they have in mind, and it's not
we have to be ready for this.
It's not hidden agenda.
We have to be ready.
Yeah, we have to be ready for it. So we have to understand that it's not only economically decided, this war, but also because of a political expansion of this country.
So, sir, as you've just mentioned also that they have an agenda, and now they are attacking Lebanon, destructing Lebanon. And also negotiations between the Lebanese Prime Minister and the United States are postponed now. And the Prime Minister postponed his scheduled visit to the United States. So how do you see the situation now in Lebanon?
The situation is very bad in Lebanon for many years. It's not just now, but maybe for quite some time Lebanon was kind of safe because of the ability of the Lebanese army and Hezbollah militia to threaten Israel.
Yes.
After what happened over the last couple of years and weakened the military ability of Lebanon, now the Israeli army is going in a picnic in Lebanon. They are reaching up to Beirut, the capital. It's not only the south, but also they are just coming and going freely in Lebanon. And this is maybe the latest development. So I don't think that there is a room for diplomatic negotiation at the moment. I think it has to be a decision taken by the international community through the United Nations and so on, with no vetoes by the United States to stop this war, simply because Lebanon did not do anything. It is just the agenda that they are trying to implement.
So also, if we talk about the Lebanese government, how it is balancing national security concerns with the need to maintain domestic unity amid this escalation?
This is also another serious problem for the Lebanese government for many years. Again, because Lebanon actually is kind of
it's divided to many
divided.
sects. Yes.
I would say that they have, the first problem is Muslim problem, which is Sunni and Shia. This is number one. Number two, a religious problem, which is Muslims and Christians. And so we have, under the Muslim group, we have subgroups. Under the Christian group, we have subgroups as well. It's not only Muslims and Christians, but we have also subgroups.
Many sects.
Many sects, and they are all fighting.
So finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Hisham Menyawi, economic expert. Thank you, sir, for being with us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
And by that, we come to the end of today's edition of The Breakfast Show. Thank you for watching.